for joining us. I'm Liam Martin with the WBZ News Update. Our top stories, whether you're flying or hitting the roads, today is expected to be one of the busiest days for Thanksgiving travel. To help ease the traffic, MassDOT is limiting construction work on major roadways and opening the HOV lane on the expressway from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. As for the airport, right now there are no major delays or cancellations out of Logan, but with the storm moving east, the advice is to be prepared, give yourself some extra time. Residents in Canton have voted to launch an independent investigation into the town's police department. The decision comes in part after the 2022 death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. O'Keefe's girlfriend, Karen Reed, is accused of hitting him with her car in Canton and leaving him to die in a snowstorm. Reed's lawyers claim she's being framed as part of a cover-up. A separate motion for a vote of no confidence in the Select Board and Police Department has been delayed. High school football returns to Fenway Park today. The matchups will feature 4 traditional Thanksgiving rivalry games with 2 doubleheaders scheduled for today and tomorrow. Today's game features Tech Boston taking on Brighton, followed by King Phillips and Franklin. Tomorrow's games include Chelmsford against Billerica and then Leominster against Fitchburg. Tickets are $20, and that includes both games. Let's get a check of your next weather forecast now with meteorologist Jason Michael, and a storm is on the way, Jason.
That's right, Mr. Martin. Good morning to you, and good morning, everybody. Our weather headlines over the next 24 to 36 hours are going to be really impactful by this storm system, beginning to move in 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. overnight tonight through the first half for our Wednesday. Mainly rain, some wet snow mixed on in there as well, with the high terrain in the western areas. High winds confined mainly to the coast to Cape as well as the islands, with a wind advisory going into effect at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Moderate to heavy rain can be expected. Yes, low chances for some snow accumulations, again, mainly in the high terrain, but also some wind gusts beginning to move on in. Moderate to heavy, impactful wind gusts expected as well. 1 to 1.5 inches on the outset of this storm system. That's going to be on the highest end of the totem pole. 1 to 3 inches expected in terms of snowfall accumulations, again, beginning later on tonight into the early hours for us on Wednesday. I think mainly around daybreak hours when we switch everything over to rain showers. Inside the 495 moving eastbound, mainly rainfall expected for us, but high wind gusts to be expected from the city all the way to the southeast. That's where our wind advisory is in effect. 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. is that time frame. You can see the Cape as well as the islands. Now let's get into the forecast. Easterly winds coming on shore here. Still the cold sector you can see there from western Mass getting all the way up into upstate New York. That's where we can expect the main accumulations to be. As the warm front lifts north across the region, this is unimpeded. Easterly winds cruising right on in here, and these are going to be impactful gusts. It's likely going to be mainly driving the rain into the interior of New England. Again, limiting visibility across the region for several hours. 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. This is where the heaviest rain is going to be moving on through with those high wind gusts. After that, once we get to 10 a.m. for tomorrow, things really start to improve across the region, still with some lingering clouds for the rest of the day on Wednesday. Coming in for a closer look at the rainfall here. So again, overnight tonight, and some of the yellows and oranges and even the reds you can see there is just going to be very heavy rain guided by the wind that's moving through. So between 5 a.m. and perhaps 11 a.m. for our Wednesday, visibility is going to be cut down significantly across the area. And you can also expect there's likely going to be some ponding on the roadways. By Thursday, Friday, things begin to dry out, but also turning colder on Saturday. High temperatures on Saturday and even on Sunday, mid to upper 30s for afternoon highs. Liam?
All right, Jason, thank you. I'm Liam Martin. This has been a WBZ News Update. Have a great day, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jason Michael. Let's dive right into this forecast that's likely going to be impactful across much of the eastern U.S. Timeline begins later on this evening, roughly around 8 p.m., carrying us through the early hours for us on Wednesday. Mostly rainfall expected in New England with some wet snow mainly concentrated in the high terrain. But we also have to factor in the impact of high winds, mainly confined to the coast, the Cape, as well as the islands, with a wind advisory going in effect for 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So here's how we look in terms of our impacts for the midweek storm. Moderate to heavy rainfall, yes, we can expect that. Low chances for snow accumulating, but also some moderate impacts from wind gusts as well. I think rainfall accumulation is going to be mainly north and west of the city, with the highest ends expected there, 1 to 1.5 inches in some of the isolated amounts, less than an inch you can see there once we get closer to the city. 1 to 3 inches in that forecast zone as far as snowfall is concerned. The high terrain obviously has some colder temperatures, so it's able to sustain the cold air as well as the snowfall in tandem for longer periods of time. But I think every single location is going to quickly switch over to rain once we get past the sunrise hours for us on Wednesday. Forecast wind gusts in the yellow. You can see sort of the lesser tier in terms of wind gusts. But once you get to the south and east of the city, we're likely to have exceeding wind gusts of 40 plus miles per hour. This is why National Weather Service starts the timeline at 5 a.m. through 4 p.m. on Wednesday. Once we get everything to kind of cruise on down, then we'll allow that to expire. Snow showers, plenty of it. Once you look at upstate New York, Vermont, as well as New Hampshire, there's our demarcation line as we start to get the warmer air infiltrating the colder air. Mainly heavy rainfall is going to be concentrated south and also west of the city, leading into the early morning commute, if you're going to have an early morning commute for us on Wednesday. This is 4 a.m. Fast forward to 5, 6 a.m. Much of the energy is pushing out to sea. However, it's still high impact rainfall because likely it's going to be sticking around for several hours or so. Area low begins to pull away and move into northern New England once we get past noon for us on Wednesday. And then in the backside of that system for Wednesday evening, things really start to turn even more cloudy and also windy with a colder wind coming on in. So we're going to stabilize our conditions leading into Thanksgiving Day holiday, which is going to be great. Midnight tonight, here's how it unfolds here. Again, scattered rain showers moving into 495 quarter, including 95, 93. Boston shrouded in heavy rain and periods of it from 5 a.m. to about 6, 7 a.m. Still with the heavy rain moving on through here. But the highest impact for travel is likely to be along the Midwest and start to move into the eastern corridor once we get into Tuesday afternoon. By Wednesday, mainly the I-95 corridor from northern New England all the way down to Florida, clearing things out west of the Mississippi. And then another system is moving onshore in the Pacific North and West, poised to bring some high Rockies, or at least high elevations in the Rockies, some scattered snowfall. But the east looking really, really good as far as Thanksgiving Day is concerned. We're at about 30 degrees right now here in the city. 22 degrees is where it feels like. Current temperatures in the 20s and even some low 30s. The rivalry games on Thanksgiving Day morning, I think it's going to be great. You can expect temperatures around the 30s starting us out on Thursday, around 50 degrees in the afternoon. Much cooler you can see there by Friday leading into the start of the weekend there with some teens expected on Saturday morning. Back into the 20s by Sunday morning, low 30s on Monday morning. Have a great day, everybody.
Good morning. It's 8:25. I'm Brianna Pitts with your top stories. We're going to check your next weather forecast with Jason Michael.
Hi there, Brianna. Your next weather forecast, the last remaining day before the Thanksgiving holiday. I think it's going to be the best day for travel. Just some cloudy skies expected for the remainder of the day. Upper 30s to low 40s. Low 40s expected in the east. I think we'll likely top out at the mid 40s on the islands. Once we get into tomorrow, though, mainly wind-driven rain is going to be hampering the region. We're likely going to remain in the 40s and even some low 50s by Thanksgiving Day, but dry with periods of sun and clouds.
All right, Jason, thank you. We're going to check your travel times here. It is busy, over 30 minutes here on the split to the Mass Pike on the expressway. 93 southbound, too, over an hour ride in down to the Lever Connector. Pike about an hour, and Route 24, a 16-minute ride there. Well, our top stories, President Biden is traveling to Massachusetts for Thanksgiving. He will stay on Nantucket through the weekend. The Bidens have celebrated the holiday on the island for decades. On previous Thanksgivings, President Biden and the First Lady have called members of the military to thank them for their service. And it is beginning to look a lot like Christmas in Boston. The city's official tree will arrive today. 40-year-old, 45-foot white spruce is scheduled to arrive at Boston Common by police escort this morning. The tree is an annual gift from Nova Scotia. It recognizes the people of Boston who helped when Halifax, Nova Scotia was devastated by an explosion in 1917. Also today, the Christmas tree at Faneuil Hall will be lit up. The 30-foot Norway spruce stands between Faneuil Hall and Quincy Market. The tree lighting ceremony kicks off at 4 o'clock this afternoon. CBS Mornings continues next here on WBZ, and we'll see you in 30 minutes for the Morning Mix.